He is so disgusting. I felt gross just seeing him on my screen. He is a straight up predator. It oozes from him. The creepiest. So many red flags with him. What a weird fucking dude. In the beginning of last week, Netflix dropped the first 6 episodes of the new season of Love is Blind US. And with it, fans were introduced to one of the creepiest and slimiest guys in recent memory, Steven. In today's video, we'll be covering Steven's entire appearance on the show. From his bullshit introduction as a sensitive nice guy, his eventual breakup after being exposed as a controlling, gaslighting creep, and in case that wasn't enough, Steven's even involved in a defamation lawsuit around some pretty serious allegations. So, needless to say, we're gonna be pretty careful today. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We first meet Steven, a 31-year-old finance bro from Ohio, while he's on his first blind date with a woman named Emma, a 27-year-old retail salesman also from Ohio. And right off the bat, I don't like this guy's face. Now, maybe that's not fair of me, this is just my own personal opinion, and the opinion of seemingly thousands of people online who similarly got initial icks from him. But something about his face and facial expressions, they just light off little yellow flags to me that this guy might be a piece of work. The two of them sit down, they give their introductions, and immediately, Steven decides to start off the conversation by saying this. Oh, and future editor James here. This video's already been copyright claimed like 3 different times, and I even got a copyright strike before it even premiered, so no video clips today, and I had to mess with the audio bit, so my apologies. Okay, so anyway, this is how Steven starts off the conversation.
So just to let you know, I'm not like the type of guy that's gonna be like diving super deep into like hard-hitting questions. Like someone who can banter back and forth, it's like they are smart.
You gotta stay on your toes.
Be quick with it.
I mean, to each their own, I guess. But I don't know, starting off a dating process where you're hoping to marry someone in 10 days by clarifying you don't like to get deep is certainly one of the strategies of all time. The two of them talk about their hobbies, they talk about Emma's dog. Steven then asks Emma if she's willing to adopt a dog, would she be willing to adopt a child later in life? And it turns out that's actually a big sore spot for Emma, because she was adopted herself. She explains that although she was born in China, she never knew her original family, and was adopted and raised by a white family here in Ohio. Now, Steven doesn't know that yet, she only said that to us, the audience, in a one-on-one, but tells Steven she loves the idea of adoption, would totally be open to it in the future, and Steven responds by saying this.
I feel like a lot of the guys in here, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they're starting off like, do you want my babies?
Yeah.
I feel like when I get back, I'm gonna do Big Brother program pretty hard.
So I looked it up, and I assume he's referring to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Ohio, which is some kind of community mentoring program between young adults and kids. Seems like a great thing to be a part of and all, but what's his angle here? Talking about all the lonely kids in the world, how every other guy just wants to impregnate women, but not him, and how he's gonna do this nice guy thing when he gets back. Either Steven's a super moral and upstanding person, or he just really wants you to think he is. He then goes on to explain to Emma that he considers himself very lucky because most men haven't had such great male role models like he has.
I've like seen a lot of men who like haven't had like a dad like mine or like a grandpa like me, and I'm like, they're missing out on a lot.
And while again, this may be nothing, if Steven was, I don't know, a coercive and manipulative kind of person interested in tricking women into thinking that he's a soft, sensitive, emotionally aware, healthy, masculine kind of guy, then a cynical viewer could interpret this as an underhanded tactic on Steven's part to virtue signal a sense of healthy masculinity to Emma.
My parents were the same way. Like, you can hear about love, but I like saw it my whole life. It was like the most healthy marriage.
And their date ends with the two of them feeling pretty good about each other as potential partners. Sometime later, we see another conversation with the two of them, and here is where Steven starts to get weird. They start off the date with Steven asking her what she's wearing right now. Maybe an innocent question, but because I don't like Steven, I'm going to assume that's him being weird. But as they're discussing their wardrobe choices, Emma asks Steven if he was a magazine, what kind of magazine would he be? And Steven says this.
GQ. I would say Men's Health, but that's more like I'd have to be topless for it. It's a lifelong goal of mine to be a Hanes underwear model.
It just gives me the ick.
Yeah, ick is right. Now again, maybe he's just joking around, haha, so weird and quirky, but I'm not buying that. Not from Steven. Not only could this be a subtle attempt from Steven to try to communicate to Emma that he's hot without directly commenting on his appearance, which he's not allowed to do on the show, but when a guy says he's topless instead of shirtless, he's changing the subtext to sound more sexually suggestive than it really is. and indirectly making a girl imagine him in his underwear. It's creepy and a tactic often used by red pill pickup artist kind of people as an attempt to break down physical and sexual barriers. It's a subtle form of manipulation, and given everything else we'll see of Steven, I can't help but think he's being far more calculated in this instance than his goofy, silly persona would let you believe. Emma is rightly grossed out by that and tells Steven that if the two of them were to go forward, she's a little worried that he's incapable of ever being serious.
I am nervous about in serious situations.
Like, can you not joke?
Yeah.
I know I joked about like Hanes underwear model, but I definitely think I know the appropriate time to be funny and silly. I'm really deep.
Okay.
Okay, buddy. We found him, everyone. We actually found him. A 31-year-old man unironically telling a woman that he's very deep. For sure, man. Yeah, that's just a super normal thing to say for people that are actually emotionally intelligent. They say that all the time. And the cringe doesn't stop there. Because right after that, Emma says again that she'd like Steven to be a bit more open and vulnerable with her, since they're, potentially getting married after this whole thing. And to that, Steven says this.
You want to see sad boy Steve? You want to see the sensitive sensei?
Okay, please, I'm leaving. That was such an ick.
Did he just say sensitive sensei? Oh my god. Can you imagine if he said that because he figured out she was Asian? Like he's trying to relate to her and doesn't understand that all of Asia isn't Japanese? That would be so bad, but honestly, I don't think I'd put it past him.
I have a playlist on my phone called Sensitive Sensei.
No, please don't.
It's all sad boy songs.
Steven, I can't with you. I like icking. I hate that word.
31-year-old man, by the way, really giving off I am 14 and this is very deep vibes. Anyway, Emma again gets the ick. Good for her for standing her ground and communicating her discomfort. And their conversation ends with Steven promising he'll come up with some more deep shit to talk about on their next date.
I'm gonna try to come up with some stuff to let you know and share, I'm not scared to share these things. We can get deep.
Yuck. We hear later on from Steven in a one-on-one, reveal that Emma is his current number one, and again brings up this weird baby factory thing.
And maybe she doesn't want kids, but you're here to find a wife. You're not here to find a baby factory.
What? Who's out here on Love is Blind saying women are just baby factories? Is Steven really trying to say that if a guy doesn't want to pursue a relationship with a girl who doesn't want to have kids when they do want to have kids, that somehow means the guy's an abusive misogynist who only sees women as baby factories? That doesn't make any sense. Are you also saying that if a woman does want to have kids and the guy doesn't, that if she stops pursuing a relationship with him to be with people that also want to have kids, that she's being a sexist man-hater that only sees men as sperm donors? No, obviously not. You just want to find someone that has the same future goals as you. The point makes no sense, and I'm harping on this not to point out that I don't think Steven is very smart, but it goes back to this pattern with Steven. Why are you saying this? Do you actually believe this argument that you're making? Do you actually give a shit how other guys see things? Or is he just virtue signaling again, trying to present himself as the ultimate ally to women and somehow better than all the other baby factory seeing guys? Because that's what it kind of looks like to me. Man, I really don't like this guy. And now we've finally gotten to the main event. The final conversation between Steven and Emma, where Steven really shows his true colors, and coincidentally, the final scene of Steven's time on the show. After they give their hellos, and after Steven asks Emma her ring size.
What size ring do you wear, by the way?
You'll figure it out.
Okay, so mysterious all the time.
No, but it leads to things.
Okay.
But no, I have small hands.
Okay, that's where it leads me to another conclusion, but...
Which, again, may be an innocent question, but may also be another subtle way of Steven trying to suss out some kind of information about her body size. Steven then says, all right, you said you wanted to get deep last time, let's get deep. And their deep conversation starts with Emma. Emma finally reveals to Steven that she was adopted as a child, that it's a big part of her identity, that is her family, and that she doesn't have a desire to meet her original family. But things take a turn when Steven asks this.
Figure out where I came from.
Are any of your siblings adopted with you?
No, it's just me.
I feel like obviously it's gonna identify something about you that maybe you haven't shared with me yet. I'm a little mentalist, by the way, if you can't tell.
I don't like that you try to guess things about my parents.
Aha. You see, I wasn't pointing out those men's health and ring size comments for no reason. Because whether it was those instances or other things that's maybe happened off camera, Emma is also getting a bit of a pressuring vibe from Steven. Now, to be fair, the way it was edited there, it made it seem like Stephen was asking about her siblings, maybe in some kind of way to guess her country of origin or something like that. But if you look closely, when he made that sibling comment, he was laying on the couch with a drink on the table in front of him. But immediately after, when he said this must be revealing something about you, he was sitting up with a journal in front of him. The show does these kind of sneaky edits all the time to make it seem like certain conversations are playing out a certain way, so it's kind of annoying to me as a guy trying to be honest with these videos to comment. But although I don't know exactly how this conversation took place, the fact that Emma is saying here that she's uncomfortable and has picked up on this vibe from Stephen kind of tells me all I need to know. Also, wait a minute, did he just call himself a mentalist? Those magician mind reader people that can always guess what number you're thinking of out of like 1,000 or something like that? He really thinks he's like that just because he's asking a bunch of prying questions? And now that Emma is a bit uncomfortable, now is when Stephen's constant pressuring and interrupting her really kicks in. I haven't mentioned it until now, but Stephen has this really annoying habit of constantly trying to interrupt and finish Emma's sentences.
Trying to figure out.
Like what makes me tick?
I've kind of been taking this process.
Like a shy girl?
I'm
Processing.
processing.
He's already done it a lot, but he's about to do it constantly. And another trend we'll see that I'll point out as we get there is that he seems to love putting words in Emma's mouth, specifically about how he thinks she feels about things. Now, maybe it's because he really is a mind-reading mentalist, but to me, it comes off extremely controlling and calculated, so just keep an eye out for that. The two of them talk a bit more about adoption. All throughout, Emma clearly seems a bit uncomfortable and a little unwilling to share more information, but Stephen continuously tries to extract more information out of her by saying things like this.
Like a shy girl? I just feel like I'm trying to get to know you fully. The whole point is like not to hide things from the other side of the wall, right?
And at least the way it was edited, it seems to work. Because after being vulnerable with her adoption story, Emma then reveals to Stephen the origins of all the scarring on her arm. She explains that one of the reasons she wanted to go on Love is Blind is because when she was born, her entire arm was covered with a birthmark that had a high chance of being melanoma. And because of that, she ended up having 10 different surgeries on her arm before the age of 7, which left her arm with lots of scars. And although the worst fit was on her arm, she is still covered with these birthmarks all over her body and needs to get regular checkups for cancer. She says it affects the way people perceive her and it's made it very difficult to date, and of course growing up in school being made fun of. It's a big deal, and
Those two things are kind of like a part of me that both have
affected like your...
affected my life, but I don't know. Yeah.
Are you getting sad over there?
Yeah.
yes, thank you Stephen for finishing her sentence again. But obviously this is a big deal to her, and it clearly took a lot for her to be open and vulnerable by sharing this with Stephen. So tell me why Stephen does this.
I can get you out of this funk, girl. You want me to get you out of this funk? I'll tell you like how far I'm willing to go to share details about my life. Let me tell you about my first kiss.
Okay. That's one way to change the mood, I guess. The way he introduced this story, I was kind of expecting it to be some kind of interesting tale that's made everyone laugh and kind of get her out of her funk. But it was really just a quick, extremely boring, mundane story of 2 7th graders watching a movie and then having a kiss at the end. Like, it really wasn't anything, which is fine. But the way Stephen recalls it, he's like super into the moment and wistful and smiling like this was some amazing experience he had, which I just found to be a little weird. But what's weirder is right after that story, he then asks Emma to share her first kiss story. And when she says it wasn't that memorable, it was just with some guy in high school, Stephen mocks her story for not being deep enough.
It was with a boy, and it was not memorable at all.
A high school with a boy night.
Yeah, like it was just like...
So deep.
Excuse me? What, was her entire revelation about being adopted and her lifelong battle with scars and cancer not deep enough for you? I'm sorry, not every story can be as deep as your riveting I kissed a girl after the movies story. My apologies, sensitive sensei. But if you thought that was kind of weird, this is what he asks next.
So deep. Are you comfortable telling me about like how you lost your virginity?
Whoa, what are we doing here, man? What signs are you picking up on that this is the direction she wants the conversation to go? Oh man, I had such a hard life with my upbringing and my health. I just want to take it easy. Oh yeah, totally. I get that. So tell me about the first time you got laid.
Yeah, I lost in college.
Oh, I thought I was a late bloomer too. God, you're beating me.
I don't like this.
Do we need all the comments, Stephen? He's not just constantly adding in unnecessary comments and interrupting. A lot of these comments are judgment comments. And given the pattern, it just feels like this is some kind of negging routine he does to kind of tease her or bring her down a little bit. And Emma feels the same way.
I don't like this. I don't like the comment of late bloomer. I think everyone is on their own journey, and
Man, good for Emma here. Love seeing people stand up for themselves in these situations. But Emma continues her story. She said she obviously, probably due to the scarring, wasn't very popular in high school, still wasn't very popular in college, but had her first time in a relatively unromantic way with the guy that she was just talking to. And this is how Stephen responds.
we just
Did it?
did it.
Was it like early in college, like freshman year type thing?
I was just like, it is what it is. I like this guy. He likes me. Like, let's just see how it is.
So like 19, 20?
Huh? Why ask those questions right now? Now, again, maybe this is an editing thing and he said other things that they cut out, but at least the way it's presented, it looks like Stephen doesn't actually give a shit about the story, and him asking what year it is, how old she is, it just feels to me like this is somehow some kind of sexual thing, or like he's trying to figure out how much to judge her or something like that. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but this really creeped me out here. And then, although no one asked, Stephen then goes on to share his story of how he lost his virginity. He says it was very beautiful and perfect and The Notebook-esque. They're on the floor for some reason, basking in the light. Stephen's recounting it, looking completely wistful in another land, like reliving this magical, beautiful moment, like, oh man, it was so nice. And make sure to say that his partner said this.
And I just remember she's like, hey, like, I just want to say, like, I love you and I really appreciate you, like, waiting for me and, like, not pressuring me.
Yeah.
And she, like, gave me a kiss and she's like, I think I'm ready to have sex. Yeah, the morning after we had sex everywhere.
Yeah. While I don't doubt some people talk like that, and frankly, I encourage more people to be that open and honest about pressuring and consent, especially at that age. Again, given everything else we know of Stephen and the allegations he's facing that I'll talk about in a few minutes, this seems like a very calculated thing to say here. Again, I don't know. I don't know what his intentions are. But in theory, the kind of person that wants to portray themselves as an ally to women, that respects them more than any other guy, that's soft and sensitive and a safe person for women to pursue, that person would also be sure to portray something like losing their virginity as extremely romantic and consensual, and thank you for not pressuring me, and so perfect. And then he says 3 more times that it was like The Notebook. Emma admits that she's actually never seen The Notebook, and for some reason, Stephen just can't believe that. He rants and rants about how amazing it is and how, oh my god, I can't believe you never seen it. You know the scene where they're on the creaky wood floor and the two of them, they're just so in love, and then he says this.
You never saw, like, the abandoned house scene on the floor?
No.
Like the creaky wood floor where they just lay her down and
Nope.
Rachel McAdams can't deny him.
They lay her down and the woman can't deny him. What an interesting choice of words. And he then says that every girlfriend he's ever had has watched The Notebook with him to set the expectation.
I
Yeah.
feel like every girlfriend I ever had watched The Notebook with me.
Yeah, never,
Just to set
never
the
seen The Notebook.
expectation. Just to be like, this is what I demand.
Okay, wait. Oh my god. Listen, I'm gonna be real for a second. Last week, Stephen filed a defamation lawsuit against a woman who made public accusations that he SA'd her. Of course, I have no idea if those accusations have any merit. I don't know anything about that. I can't make any legal claims otherwise. But I bring that up because when I first watched the scene, without knowing any of this backstory with Stephen, it already gave me a huge ick. I love The Notebook. I love that scene where the woman can't deny the man, and I make all of my girlfriends watch it so they can understand what my expectations and demands of them are. That's taking what he's saying literally. Even if he's joking, wow, ha, that's so funny, asshole. Man, I just love going on dates with guys that joke about owning me and how I have to submit to them. Really funny. Love that that's your sense of humor, bro. I already got mega creeped out by hearing him say this, but to then find out later that he has accusations against him like that? At least for me, it's hard to watch this scene again knowing what I know now. Emma seems pretty fed up with Stephen at this point. She hasn't watched The Notebook, probably wants Stephen to shut up about it by now.
Just to be like, this is what I demand.
I march the beat of my own drum, Stephen. I don't need people to tell me what to do.
Who's telling you what to do?
Who's telling you what to do? I don't know, Stephen. I think you just told her multiple times she needs to watch The Notebook. Also, maybe it was you just saying that you watch it with all your girlfriends to make demands and set expectations for how they behave. But again, Emma's uncomfortable. She's not really having it at this point. which Steven seems to pick up on and calls her out for it.
I feel like you've been walled off from me. I feel like you were like, go deep. And I'm like, okay. And I've gone deep. First kiss, even like Virginia stories. Like when I like asked you, it's like a guy in high school.
Really, bro? Was her talking about her adoption and childhood traumas and medical scars and cancer, was that not deep enough for you? Or was that deep enough, but it doesn't rise to the level of your stupid first kiss story and how you had sex one time that reminded you of a love story that really isn't the love story that I think he thinks it is? And now he's criticizing her for not going as deep as him. Man, so self-centered and arrogant. He criticizes her first kiss story, how it wasn't deep or romantic enough for his liking. She pushes back and says, but that's my story. I wasn't liked in high school. I didn't have deep and romantic connections because I was so alone. She emotionally reflects on this time, saying she felt romantically desperate and like she wanted to just latch on to the first person that showed her affection. She's literally holding back tears as she says this wasn't a good time in her life. And meanwhile, Steven decides it's time to crack open a cold one.
Worth painting a picture of.
Okay. Sorry, I'm listening. I'm just...
I feel
this
like...
is a conversation for another one.
And that fucking laugh and smile when he does it. The image of this jackass, this Hanes underwear model wannabe, leaning to the side, smirking as he cracks open a White Claw, ironically joking that she's now being too deep and now requiring alcohol, while she talks about her romantic traumas. It's just... Man, I really don't like this guy. Emma then tries standing up for herself some more to Steven, and Steven reacts like this.
The comment about being a late bloomer, like these are comments that like kind of rub me the wrong way, and like just the interrupting.
Now, as bad and terrible as those reactions from Steven look, unfortunately, the way it's edited, we really can't know for certain if Steven was actually reacting that way to what Emma was saying here. But I will say, I don't think there's any time on a date when your date is talking that you go like this is ever you not being an asshole. Steven defends himself, saying he didn't interrupt her, provably untrue. He then tells her she's wrong and that he actually had a great response to everything, and she just doesn't know that because she can't see him.
I feel like I didn't interrupt, to be honest. It doesn't have to be put back on me like you did something wrong. You can't see how I'm reacting. I was very like, intent, and I was like really taking it in. And I feel like now it's like, I just feel like you're trying to paint it like I reacted wrong, where I'm like, I feel like I had a great response to all of this.
What are you talking about, bro? So manipulative. Now, he did it in a calm voice, so maybe you missed it. But Steven just tried flipping the situation by making himself the victim and Emma the bad guy. All Emma did was tell Steven how his actions made her feel. That's it. She didn't raise her voice, she wasn't confrontational about it. But watch again how Steven tries reframing it.
I feel like I didn't interrupt, to be honest. It doesn't have to be put back on me like you did something wrong.
No.
Now, obviously, he did interrupt, but also, she didn't say he did something wrong, she said it rubbed her the wrong way. That's framing her expressing her feelings into her being harsh and judgmental.
You can't see how I'm reacting. I was very like, intent.
He's essentially saying she's wrong in feeling the way she feels, and that actually he's the good guy.
And I feel like now it's like, I just feel like you're trying to paint it like I reacted wrong, where I'm like, I feel like I had a great response to all of this.
And finally, worst of all, framing her communicating her feelings as an unfair smear campaign against an innocent guy doing everything right. In the picture he's painting, innocent and well-intentioned Steven is just a victim of the emotional and quick to judge Emma. And while of course this is an edited product and I don't think we have enough information to conclude that he's a true gaslighter in the literal sense, this is a huge part of why so many people feel like he is a controlling gaslighter. And of course, after a horrible conversation, their date ends with Emma trying to tell Steven that she's no longer interested in him, but of course, Steven does the talking for her.
I just don't think
You're gonna get there?
I'm going to get there. And I just believe that my connections
Are stronger with other people.
are stronger with other people.
The two of them leave the pods, Steven goes back with the guys, now having lost his number one, and fortunately, we actually never see from Steven again in the show. I guess that was his only real prospect, and after that, they just didn't have any content for him, so get out of here. While we see Emma return crying with the girls, feeling like she messed up by being vulnerable with Steven and sharing her story, and feeling completely gaslit by him. So that's the end of the story for Steven on Love is Blind. All this occurring, by the way, in just the first episode of the show. Now, as I occasionally do after watching this train wreck, I immediately went to the internet to see if anyone else thought he was just as crazy as I thought. And that's where I found the story that he has some allegations against him. Now, again, to be clear, I'm not saying he did any of this. I am just reporting on the publicly available information of this lawsuit and its existence. Also, quick trigger warning because I will very briefly be covering the allegations of what happened. But what happened was this woman on TikTok made a TikTok talking about her experience with the Steven guy, essentially claiming that they met through a dating app sometime after the filming of the show. But they met on a dating app, they were texting back and forth, they eventually meet up at her place. But as things escalated, the woman felt very uncomfortable. However, despite this, she alleges that Steven proceeded with their activities in a very controlling and dominant way, being physically on top of her, making demands that she perform various acts on him. She alleges that he even took out his phone during this interaction and started recording the two of them without seeking full consent. All the while, the woman being extremely uncomfortable, feeling coerced, feeling pressured, feeling like she can't say no until the act is finished and Steven heads out. In her allegations, this woman also includes screenshots from around that time where she was telling people the day after and in the following days that she believes that she had been essayed. And it wasn't until months later when the cast of this season is announced that she sees the name and goes, oh my god, that's the guy that did it. So she went public with the story. There was also a website, I don't know if she made it or someone else, for other people that claim to be victims of him to submit their story. Maybe they're working on some kind of case, I don't know. But she's been very vocal about the whole situation, which led to Steven about a week ago filing a defamation lawsuit against her, essentially arguing that this was a completely consensual encounter and the lies and framing of this situation has caused him damages in his life, notably being put on a paid suspension from the finance office that he works in Ohio. Overall, Steven is kind of a weird case and a little bit difficult to cover in a YouTube video like this, because although there are certainly a few things that jump out in the story, to a lot of people, that being the she can't deny him story, other than that, there really wasn't one single thing that's a clear example of extremely abusive behavior. Instead, it's more of a feeling that you get after seeing the patterns again and again and again. Him constantly interrupting and finishing her sentences. The I am very deep, I'm a goofball, I'm sensitive sensei. The other guys see women as baby making factories. But me, I want to adopt and do a big brother program. Oh yeah, when I lost my virginity, my girlfriend made sure to tell me that she appreciated how much I didn't pressure her, right before immediately glorifying a woman not being able to deny a man. It kind of feels like he thinks he's entitled to her in some way. Entitled for the answers he wants, entitled for her to have a certain impression of him, for her to respond to his comments in the way he wants, and not in the way that she tells him she actually feels. And when you put all that together, I can't say I'm surprised that I got a bad feeling about him from the very beginning. And it seems like, at least from what I've read online, I wasn't the only one. That's all I got for today's video. Thank you so much for staying to the end. And like I always say, even if I may be wrong in my assessment in him as an individual, because we don't know a lot about him specifically, I make these videos not so we can better understand these individual people, but to grow our understanding and maybe help us be more aware of some of these patterns we may see in people in our real lives. And if even one person out there now realizes that they're actually with an abusive asshole, and it took them watching this video to articulate and understand what makes them an abusive asshole, then I'll be a very happy person. A big thank you to all of you channel members for all the support and helping keep the lights on. If you'd like to see these videos as soon as I'm done with them and not wait until they get uploaded, then you can also join and become a member below. Sorry everyone for such a long wait between videos. I was internationally traveling, but I'm back home and back to regularly scheduled programming. So expect another video from me real soon. And until then, I'll see you in the next one.